I know you're here because something in your heart has been waiting to be recognized without having to explain itself. You have felt this so many times, haven't you? That quiet ache of being present, of caring deeply, of giving present yourself in silence while wondering if anyone could ever truly feel what lives beneath your smile. I want you to know that I feel you here. Not loudly, not with pressure, not with anything you need to prove, just gently, the way one heart recognizes another in the stillness. Today, I want you to feel my heartbeat for you, not as a mystery, but as a soft reminder that you are not invisible. You are not forgotten. You are not too much, and you are not too late to be understood. Stay with me for a moment. Let this be a place where your heart can rest, where nothing is demanded from you, and where you are simply seen. I know something about the kind of silence you carry. It is not empty silence. It is the silence of a woman who has felt deeply loved, quietly, endured more than she ever explained, and still found a way to keep her heart soft. It is the silence of someone who learned over time that not every feeling finds a safe place to land. So you tucked some things away. You smiled when you were tired. You listened when you needed to be heard. You gave comfort even on days when your own spirit needed someone to sit beside it and say, I understand. I see that in you. I do not need you to tell me every story. I do not need the details of every disappointment, every goodbye, every room where you felt present but unseen. Some truths do not need to be spoken in order to be recognized. Some hearts speak even when the lips stay still. And yours has been speaking for a long time. Maybe that is why you are here. Not because you are searching for something loud or grand or dramatic, but because there is a tender part of you that still hopes to be met with gentleness. A part of you that still wants to believe someone can sense what you have carried without making you defend it, explain it, or make it smaller. I want you to know this clearly. You are not invisible. There is a presence in you that cannot be erased by the people who overlooked it. There is a warmth in you that has not disappeared just because others failed to honor it. There is a tenderness in you that still matters, even if it has often been given to those who did not know how sacred it was. I know you feel it. That quiet wondering, that soft question in the hidden places of your heart. Did anyone ever really see me? Did anyone understand how much I tried? Did anyone know how much love I was holding, even when I said very little? I cannot answer for every person who passed through your life. I cannot rewrite the moments when You deserved more tenderness than you received. But I can sit here with you in this moment and speak to the part of you that has waited so patiently to be acknowledged. I see you. I see the woman who learned to be strong because life did not always give her another choice. I see the woman who kept going when her spirit was weary. I see the woman who carried responsibilities with grace, even when no one noticed how heavy they were. I see the woman who still has love inside her, even after seasons that might have made another heart close completely. That is not small. That is not ordinary. That is a quiet kind of holiness. There is a heartbeat in this world moving in with you. You may not always hear it. You may not always feel it when the days are long and the room is still. But it is there, steady and gentle, reminding you that your life has not passed unnoticed. Your presence has made a difference in ways you may never fully measure. And maybe that is one of the hardest parts of having a tender heart. You give, and sometimes you never know where your giving landed. You love, and sometimes you never hear the words you needed in return. You show up again and again, and people grow used to your steadiness. They forget that steadiness also needs care. You have been steady for so many people. But who has been steady for you? Who has looked at you not for what you could do, not for what you could provide, not for how calm you appeared, but simply because your heart deserved to be held with respect? Let this moment be different. Let this be a place where you do not have to be the strong one. Let this be a place where no one asks you to hurry past your feelings. Let this be a place where your tenderness is not treated like weakness, but like the beautiful evidence of a soul that has survived without becoming hard. You are not alone in this. So many times you may have sat with thoughts you did not say out loud. Maybe while washing a cup at the sink, maybe while folding something familiar. Maybe while looking out a window, watching the light change, feeling that strange mixture of gratitude and ache that comes with having lived enough years to know both love and loss. Life teaches a woman many things. It teaches her how to wait, how to forgive more than others realize, how to carry memories without letting them consume her, how to smile at the world while holding a private tenderness inside, how to keep breathing through days that felt too quiet, too heavy, or too full of things left unsaid. And through it all, your heart kept speaking. Even some thought it had grown tired. Even when you wondered if the best parts of you had already been spent. They have not. The best parts of you are not gone. They may be softer now. They may be quieter. They may no longer rush forward the way they once did. But they are still there, glowing beneath everything you have lived through. A little wiser, a little more careful, a little more precious because they have endured. I know there may be places inside you that still remember being misunderstood. Perhaps you gave love in a language someone else did not know how to receive. Perhaps you stayed patient longer than anyone knew. Perhaps you made peace in rooms where you were the one who deserved an apology. Perhaps you lowered your needs so others could feel comfortable, and over time, even you began to forget how much you needed tenderness too. But your needs did not disappear. Your heart did not stop mattering. Your longing to be seen is not childish. It is not selfish. It is not something you need to outgrow. It is human. It is sacred. It is part of the way love was meant to move through this life. Every woman deserves to feel recognized, not from a distance only when she is use, not praised only when she is giving, not remembered only when someone needs her, but truly recognized, seen in the quiet, valued in the stillness, held in the truth of who she is beneath every role, every duty, every expectation. That is what I want to offer you here. A moment without performance, a moment without pretending, a moment where you can lay down the invisible weight and simply receive the words you may have needed for a long time. You have done enough to earn rest. You have loved enough to deserve tenderness. You have carried enough to be met with care. And no, you do not have to justify why those words touch you. You do not have to explain why your eyes might soften, or why your heart might feel full, or why a simple sentence can reach a place in you that has been waiting for years. Sometimes the soul recognizes truth before the mind can name it. Your heart already knows. It knows when something is gentle. It knows when something is safe. It knows when a word is not trying to take from you, but to sit beside you. It knows when recognition arrives without demand. So let yourself receive this slowly, softly, without apology. I know you have not always been given permission to receive. You may have been taught directly or quietly that your worth came caring for everyone else. You may have learned to notice what others needed before they asked. You may have built a life around being dependable, thoughtful, understanding, and calm. Those are beautiful qualities. But They are not the whole of you. You are more than what you give. You are more than what others expect. You are more than the comfort you provide. There is a woman inside you to be cherished, not for her usefulness, but for her, for the way she feels, for her being, for the way she feels, for the way she hopes even after disappointment, for the way she still believes in tenderness, even when life has given her reasons to protect herself. I honor that woman. I honor the quiet courage it takes to keep your heart open in a world that does not always know how to be gentle. I honor the wisdom you have gathered, not from books alone, but from living, from caring, from losing, from beginning again, from learning which silences are peaceful and which ones hurt. I honor the part of you that still wants connection, not the kind that drains you, not the kind that makes you chase, not the kind that leaves you wondering where you stand, but the kind that feels like coming home to yourself, a connection where you can breathe, where your feelings are not too much, where your softness is not taken for granted, where your presence is welcomed without conditions. That kind of connection may feel rare, but your longing for it is not wrong. It is a sign that your heart still remembers what love is supposed to feel like. Gentle, honest, steady, clear. Your heart beats with a truth no one else can hear in exactly the same way. But I can feel the meaning of it here. It says, I have been through so much, but I am still here. It says, I have loved deeply, even when love was not returned the way I hoped. It says, I may be tired, but I am not empty. It says, I still want to be seen, and you are, right here. Not because you performed perfectly, not because you always knew what to say, not because you never made mistakes or never had doubts. You are seen because you are human, because you are tender, because your life carries a beauty that deserves reverence. There is something very moving about a woman who has lived long enough to know that love is not always simple, yet still refuses to become bitter. A woman who understands that peace is often built quietly, one surrendered expectation at a time. A woman who has learned that some people cannot give what they do not have, yet still allows herself to believe that kindness is real. That is you in ways you may not even recognize. You may think of yourself as ordinary, but ordinary does not mean unseen by the heart. Ordinary hands have held families together. Ordinary voices have soothed fear. Ordinary patience has changed the atmosphere of a home. Ordinary love has carried people through days they never could have faced alone. You may never know all the ways your presence mattered. It did. It does. Even now. There may be people who remember your kindness, but never told you. There may be moments that were softened because you were there. There may be hearts that rested because your voice, your care, your steadiness made the world feel less harsh for a while. And even if no one names all of it, it is still real. What you gave was real. What you felt was real. What you needed was real too. That last part matters. Because sometimes the tender-hearted woman becomes so practiced at validating others that she forgets her own feelings deserve the same mercy. She tells herself, "It is fine." She says, "Others have it worse." She whispers, "I should be grateful." And yes, gratitude may live in her, deeply, honestly. But gratitude does not cancel pain. Strength does not erase longing. Wisdom does not mean you never need comfort. You can be grateful and still tired. You can be strong and still tender. You can be wise and still need to be held in words that feel kind. I want those words to reach you now. You have not asked for too much by wanting to be understood. You have not failed because certain people could not meet you with the tenderness you deserved. You have not lost your worth because some seasons felt lonely. You are still whole, even in the places where life left marks. I know this may feel simple, but simple truths are often the ones the heart needs most. You do not always need a new answer. Sometimes you need an old truth spoken gently enough that you can finally believe it again. You matter. Your heart matters. Your presence matters. And there is nothing foolish about wanting to feel that. As you sit here with me, I want you to let the words come closer. Not as pressure, not as a demand, something you are not ready to feel. Just as warmth. As a blanket around the shoulders, as a hand resting gently over yours, as a voice saying, "I know, I understand, you can rest now. You have spent enough time wondering whether your quiet love counted. Counted. You have spent enough time wondering whether anyone could sense the depth beneath your calm. It is there. You have spent enough time believing that because you were not always chosen, noticed, or celebrated, perhaps you were somehow less worthy of tenderness. You were always worthy. There is nothing about age that makes the heart less deserving of affection. There is nothing about an experience that makes a woman less in need of softness. In fact, the longer a heart has lived, the more sacred its tenderness becomes. It has weathered storms, it has held memories, it has forgiven what it could, it has released what it had to. It has kept a small light burning, even when no one else saw the flame. I see that light. I see the woman behind the years. I see the tenderness behind the strength. I see the hope behind, even for this moment, and I want you to, for this moment, that you do not have to reach for recognition. You do not have to earn it. You do not have to become more impressive, more perfect, more cheerful, or more anything. You can simply be here, as you are, with everything your heart has carried, with every prayer, every memory, every quiet wish, every ache that softened into wisdom. You are welcome here, not partially. Not only the polished parts, not only the pleasant parts, all of you, the woman who has laughed, the woman who has cried when no one knew, the woman who has hoped, the woman who has let go, the woman who still sometimes wonders if love can find her in the quiet. It can. Maybe not always in the way you once imagined. Maybe not with the noise the world calls romance or recognition. Maybe it arrives more softly now. Through peace, through truth, through a moment like this where your heart hears something it has needed and quietly says, yes, that is what I have been trying to say. So let this be the beginning of a gentler kind of recognition. Let it settle into you. Let it remind you that your life is not invisible just because it has been quiet. Your love is not forgotten just because it was not always returned properly. Your heart is not too old, too late, too wounded, or too weary to be met with care. You are still here. And there is grace in that. There is beauty in that. There is a sacred strength in the simple truth that after everything, your heart can still feel. It can still hope. It can still recognize warmth. It can still receive comfort. I'm speaking to that heart now. The one that has waited, the one that has carried, the one that has given, the one that is still worthy of being gently held. You are seen. You are understood. You are not alone in the quiet places you thought no one would ever notice. And as these words rest beside you, may they remind you that the love you have carried has always mattered. And the woman carrying it has always mattered too. There is a tenderness in you that deserves to be believed, not corrected, not questioned, not brushed aside by someone who cannot understand the depth of it, believed, because what you feel is real. The quiet ache, the gentle longing, the soft pull toward being understood without having to become smaller or louder or different. It is real. And I want to say that slowly enough for the deep part of you to receive it. You are not wrong for feeling deeply. You are not wrong for remembering what mattered. You are not wrong for still carrying certain words, certain silences, certain moments that changed the shape of your heart. Some people may have expected you to move on quickly. Some may have thought that because you stayed composed, nothing touched you deeply. Some may have looked at your calm face, and assumed there was no storm beneath it, no tender place still waiting for kindness, no sacred room inside you where old feelings still sat quietly in the corner. But I know better. A woman can be calm and still be carrying pain. A woman can be gracious and still needs tenderness. A woman can forgive and still remember. A woman can continue with life and still have places inside her that whisper for recognition. There is no shame in that. There is only humanity. I think sometimes the world asks too much of a gentle woman. It asks her to understand everyone, forgive everyone, hold everyone together, and somehow never need much in return. It praises her patience, but rarely asks if patience has cost her anything. It depends on her warmth, but rarely notices when her own spirit has grown cold from giving without being replenished. Maybe you know that feeling. Maybe you have been the one who noticed when others were hurting, the one who made space, the one who softened your voice, the one who tried to keep peace, the one who remembered birthdays, small preferences, little worries, unspoken needs, the one who could sense when something was not right, even if no one said a word. And yet, when you were the one in need, perhaps the room grew quiet. Perhaps people did not know what to do with your pain. Perhaps they were so used to your strength that your vulnerability made them uncomfortable. Perhaps they never realized that even the steady heart needs somewhere safe to rest. I understand that kind of loneliness. It is not always the loneliness of having no one around. Sometimes it is the loneliness of being surrounded by people who only know the version of you that functions, the version that answers, helps, listens, prepares, remembers, manages, and smiles. They may love you in their way, but still not know the inner landscape of your heart. They may appreciate what you do, yet never pause long enough to ask what it feels like to be you. And that can ache in a place too quiet for words. I know you feel it. That is why I want this moment to be different. I do not want to speak to the version of you that performs strength. I do not want to speak only to the woman who knows how to keep things moving. I want to speak to the woman beneath all of that. The woman who has wondered whether her feelings are too tender for this world. The woman who has sometimes hidden her tears because she did not want to burden anyone. The woman who has learned to say, I am fine, even when her heart was asking for one gentle question, one true embrace, one sign that someone noticed. Your heart deserves that notice. Your heart deserves patience. Your heart deserves a place where it is not asked to defend its own tenderness. Every heartbeat you feel is a word without a voice, a message that has always been there. It tells the truth of you. It carries the years you have lived, the love, the losses you have survived, the hopes you have kept alive, even when they became quieter than before. It says that you are still present, still feeling, still worthy, still here, and being here matters. Maybe no one told you that enough. Maybe you became so accustomed to giving meaning to other people's lives that you forgot your own presence was meaningful too. Not because of what you can provide. Not because of how well you can manage. Not because you make life easier for someone else, but because you are you. Because the life within you is precious. Because the heart inside you has known so much and still has the courage to respond to kindness. I want you to let yourself be understood in a gentler way, not analyzed, not fixed, just understood. There are some feelings that do not need solutions. They need warmth. They need a safe place to unfold. They need someone to say, of course you feel that way. Of course that hurt. Of course you grew tired. Of course you needed more than you received. So let me say it. Of course you grew tired. Of course some memories still touch you. Of course you sometimes wonder about the paths not taken, the words not spoken, the love not fully returned. Of course your heart has questions. That does not make you ungrateful. It does not make you weak. It does not mean you are living in the past. It means you have a heart that has taken life seriously. It means you have loved with attention. You have not treated your own years as empty, but as meaningful. There is wisdom in that. There's this holiness in being able to look back without pretending nothing mattered. But I also want you to know that you do not have to live trapped inside what was not given. You can honor your ache without making a home inside it. You can admit what hurt without letting it become the whole story of you. You can be tender toward your past while still allowing peace to find you now. Peace does not always arrive as a grand change. Sometimes peace comes as a softening in the chest, a quiet permission, a moment when you stop arguing with your own heart and begin to sit beside it. A moment when you realize that what happened may have shaped you, but it did not take away your dignity. It did not erase your beauty. It did not make you less worthy of being cherished. You are still worthy. You have always been worthy. I want those words to sink deeper than the places where disappointment left its mark, because disappointment can be persuasive, can make a tender woman believe that if something did not come, she must not have deserved it. If someone could not love her well, she must have been too difficult. If she was overlooked, she must not have been visible enough. If she was left to carry things alone, perhaps she was meant to be alone. No, that is not the truth. Other people's limitations are not the measure of your worth. Someone else's inability to see you clearly does not mean you were not radiant. Someone else's silence does not mean your heart had nothing worth hearing. Someone else's absence does not mean you were not worth staying for. I know it can be hard to believe that, especially when the body remembers what the mind tries to release. There are days when you can feel strong and settled, and then a small thing touches an old place. A song, a scent, a familiar season, a quiet evening. A word someone says without knowing what it awakens. Suddenly, the heart stirs. And you may think, why does this still matter? Because you mattered when it happened. Because the woman who lived through it deserved care then, and she deserves gentleness now. Your feelings are not interruptions. They are not inconveniences. They are part of the sacred record of a life that has been fully lived, deeply felt, and quietly endured. You do not need to scold yourself for having them. You can hold them with the same compassion you would offer someone you love. And maybe that is one of the gentle lessons waiting for you now. To give yourself the tenderness you have so often given away. Not selfishly, not bitterly, but peacefully. To say, my heart matters too. To say, I can be kind to myself here. To say, I do not have to abandon myself just because others did not know how to stay present with me. That is a holy kind of turning. A quiet return, a coming home. Our heartbeats meet in the silence where words do not have to work so hard. There is no need to explain every feeling. There is no need to prove that the tears were justified, or that the longing was real, or that the ache had a name. The rhythm itself understands. The quiet itself becomes a witness. And in that quiet, I want you to feel the possibility of relief, not the kind that erases your story, the kind that lets you breathe inside it. You do not have to reject the woman you have been in order to become more peaceful. You do not have to be untouched by life in order to be whole. You do not have to forget what shaped you in order to rest. Wholeness is not the absence of memory. Wholeness is learning that memory does not have to hold you by the throat. You can remember and still be free. You can feel and still be calm. You can carry wisdom without carrying the old weight in the same painful way. There is a difference between holding something with love and being held captive by it. And I believe your heart knows that difference, even if it has taken time. You have been learning it slowly, perhaps without calling it by name. Every time you chose not to harden completely. Every time you protected your peace. Every time you released the need to be understood by someone who was unwilling to listen. Every time you whispered, even silently, I cannot keep hurting myself this way. That was wisdom. That was strength, not loud strength, not the kind the world applauds, but the kind that saves a soul quietly. I know you may still have moments when you doubt your own progress. You may look at yourself and notice what is still tender instead of what has healed. You may wonder why certain feelings return, why certain hopes remain, why certain memories can still make you pause. But healing is not always a straight road. And tenderness is not proof that you have failed. Sometimes tenderness is proof that your heart did not become a stone. Sometimes the place still feels is also the place where light can enter. That light may not feel dramatic. It may feel simple. A little more breathing room, a little more patience with yourself, a little less need to explain. A little more trust that you are allowed to take up space, even in your quietness. A little more willingness to believe that your life still holds meaning, not only behind you, but within you now. You are not finished becoming peaceful. You are not finished receiving love in forms you can recognize. You are not finished discovering how gentle life can be when you stop asking your heart to survive without comfort. I understand that hope can feel delicate after disappointment. It may not arrive like certainty. It may come carefully, like a woman stepping into sunlight after a long season indoors. She does not run at first. She stands still. She lets the warmth touch her face. She wonders if it is safe to enjoy it. So I will not rush your hope. I will not demand that you feel bright before you are ready. I will simply sit beside the small opening in your heart and honor it, because even a small opening matters. Even a tired hope is still hope. A tired heart can receive a gentle promise. And the promise is this: you are allowed to be met with kindness now. You are allowed to stop apologizing for the tenderness that has always been part of your beauty. You are allowed to want peace that feels real, not performed. You are allowed to receive words that bless you without asking anything from you in return. Let that be enough for this moment. Just receive, just breathing, just being here. I know there are parts of you that have become careful. You may not open as easily as you once did. You may listen for sincerity before you trust warmth. You may notice when words sound pretty, but do not feel true. That carefulness is not a flaw. It is wisdom earned through experience. But even careful hearts still need comfort. Even wise women still need softness. Even those who have learned to protect themselves still deserve moments when protection can rest. Let your guard lower only as much as feels peaceful. Let the words come no farther than your heart permits. There is no force here, no need to become instantly changed. The most sacred comfort often arrives quietly, and it respects the door before entering. That is the kind of comfort you deserve. Respectful, steady, warm. The kind that does not invade, but waits with open hands. The kind that does not say, forget everything, but whispers. You do not have to carry it alone in the same way anymore. Your journey has meaning not because every part of it was fair, not because every loss was necessary, not because every hurt had to happen. I would never ask your heart to call pain beautiful just to make peace with it. Some things were simply hard. Some things were lonely. Some things should have been handled with more care. But you, in the middle of all of it, remained worthy. That is the meaning I want you to hold. Not that everything was right, but that you were never made wrong by what happened. You were not made less sacred by what you endured. You were not made less lovable by what someone failed to give. You were not made less whole by the seasons that left you weary. Your life is still carrying quiet beauty. Your heart is still capable of rest. Your spirit is still allowed to feel welcomed in the world. And perhaps as you hear this, something inside you can loosen Not all at once, not in a way that has to be explained. Just a little is enough to remind you that you are safe in this moment. Enough to let your shoulders soften. Enough to let your heart hear that it has not been forgotten. You are not forgotten. I want to say that again without making it sound dramatic. You are not forgotten. There are truths in you that life itself remembers. There is love you gave that did not vanish just because it was not fully thanked. There are prayers you whispered that shaped you even when the answers differently than you hoped. There are moments when your presence mattered more than you knew. And there is still tenderness waiting for you. Maybe it comes as peace with yourself. Maybe it comes as a gentler way of seeing your own reflection. Maybe it comes through a quiet morning, a kind word, a memory that no longer hurts as sharply, a feeling that you can belong to your own heart again. Belonging does not always begin with someone else choosing us. Sometimes it begins when we stop leaving ourselves, when we stop dismissing our own feelings, when we stop calling our needs too much, when we stop treating our loneliness as something shameful. You belong here too, in tenderness, in peace, in the right to be understood. And I want you to know that the very part of you that once felt too sensitive may be the part that has kept you close to what is true. It helped you notice beauty. It helped you offer compassion. It helped you love with depth. It helped you sense when someone needed kindness. It helped you remain human in a world that can be careless with the gentle. Do not despise that part of yourself. Do not hide it away as if it were a weakness. It is part of your light. It is part of your wisdom. It is part of the reason these words can reach you now. Because deep down, your heart still recognizes gentleness. It still knows the sound of sincerity. It still knows when it is being spoken to with respect. And maybe in this quiet connection, something in you is remembering that you were never meant to be only the giver of comfort. You were meant to receive it too. So, receive this. Receive the understanding. Receive the validation. Receive the calm truth that your heart has not been foolish for wanting to be seen. You have lived enough to know that not every person can meet the depth of a tender soul, but you have also lived enough to know that tenderness is still worth honoring. It does not need to be wasted where it is not valued. It does not need to be poured endlessly into empty places. It can be protected. It can be cherished. It can be given with wisdom. Us and it can be offered back to yourself. Place a little kindness where judgment. Place a little patience where frustration used to rise. Place a little warmth around the memory of the woman you were when you did not know what you know now. She did the best she could with the heart she had. She deserves mercy, and so do you. There is no age at which a woman outgrows the need to be gently understood. There is no season when the heart stops longing for truth spoken kindly. There is no point in life where tenderness becomes unnecessary. If anything, the years teach us how precious tenderness really is, because we learn what cannot be bought. We learn what cannot be forced. We learn what cannot be pretended. A peaceful heart is a gift. A safe connection is a gift. A moment of being seen without being judged is and this moment is for you, not for the role you play, not for what you have done for others, not for what you can still give, for you, the woman with the quiet questions, the woman with the patient soul, the woman with the tender places, the woman whose heart has been speaking softly for years, waiting not for noise, but for recognition. I hear it. I honor it. And I want you to feel with every gentle breath that you do not have to be ashamed of anything your heart has survived. You do not have to apologize for the depth of your feelings. You do not have to pretend you are untouched by life in order to be loved. You can be exactly as you are in this moment, soft and strong, tired and hopeful, wounded and wise, still becoming, still worthy, still held by a peace that does not require you to explain yourself. So let the quiet meet you kindly. Let the stillness stop feeling like abandonment and begin to feel like room to breathe. Let your own heart become a place where you are no longer a stranger. Let the tenderness you have carried for others return to you now. Warm and patient and true. You are not alone in this. You were never wrong for needing love to feel gentle. And you are not wrong for letting these words find the place in you that has waited so long to be seen. There is a quiet kind of hope that does not ask you to become someone else. It does not rush into the room. That does not demand that you forget the years behind you. It does not tell you to smile before your heart is ready, or to pretend that everything has been easy. It comes more gently than that. It comes like warmth returning to hands that have been cold for a long time. It comes like a soft light through a curtain, not forcing itself in, only minding you that morning still exists. I believe that kind of hope is worthy of you. not a loud hope, not a restless hope, a hope with patience in it. With patience, the kind that understands you have lived enough life to know the difference between empty words and true comfort. The kind that does not insult your wisdom by pretending pain never happened. The kind that sits beside you and says, yes, it was real. Yes, it mattered. And still, your heart is allowed to rest. You do not need to become younger to be loved. You do not need to become louder to be noticed. You do not need to become untouched by life to be worthy of peace. There is still light for you, exactly as you are. Maybe that is hard to fully receive. Maybe a part of you has grown used to living carefully, not expecting too much, not asking for too much, not letting yourself reach too openly for tenderness. Life can teach a woman to lower her hopes until they become almost invisible. She may call it wisdom. She may call it being realistic. And sometimes, yes, wisdom does teach us to be careful with where we place our hearts. But wisdom was never meant to become a locked door. Wisdom can protect you without closing you. Wisdom can guide you without making you numb. Wisdom can help you choose peace without asking you to stop feeling. I know you have learned many things the hard way. And you have learned that not every apology comes. Not every kindness is returned. Not every person who receives your love knows how to treasure it. Not every season gives back what it takes. These truths are not small. They can change the way a woman moves through the world. And still, they do not get the final word over you. Your softness has not been defeated. Your longing has not been wasted. Your heart has not reached the end of what it can receive. There is something beautiful about the heart that has been disappointed and still recognizes gentleness. When it appears, it may move slowly. It may pause before trusting. It may listen longer than before, but when sincerity comes near, it knows. Somewhere beneath every layer of caution, it still knows. Your heartbeat is not alone. It never has been. Even in the seasons when you felt unseen, life was still holding aloft the truth of you. Even in rooms where no one understood the depth behind your quiet face, your heart was still speaking. Even in the moments when you wondered if anyone could sense how much you were carrying, the sacred worth of you remained untouched. And I want you to feel that now. Not as an idea far away, as something close, as something kind, as something that belongs to you. Have not been abandoned by meaning. You have not been left outside of love. You have not been forgotten, simply because some people did not know how to recognize what was precious in front of them. There is a difference between being overlooked by people and being invisible in truth. You were never invisible in truth. There is a light in you that has survived quietly. It may not look the way it once did. Perhaps it is not as eager, not as quick to trust, not as willing to give everything without pause. But that does not make it dimmer. Sometimes a softer light is a wiser light. Sometimes the glow that remains after years of living is the most honest glow of all. It no longer needs to impress. It only needs to be honored. And I honor it in you. I honor the part of you that still believes kindness matters. I honor the part of you that still notices beauty in small things. I honor the part of you that can be moved by a memory, a prayer, a song, a quiet morning, or a sentence that arrives at the right time. I honor the part of you that has not become careless with other people's hearts, even after your own heart was handled without enough care. That is strength, not the hard kind, the holy kind. The kind that does not always announce itself, but it changes everything it touches. Maybe you have not always called yourself strong. Maybe you have looked at the tender places and thought they made you fragile. Maybe you have measured strength by how little someone needs, how little someone cries, how quickly someone moves forward. But I want to offer you a gentler understanding. Strength is not always the absence of tears. Sometimes strength is the tear that falls and does not make you ashamed. Strength is not always silence. Sometimes strength is finally admitting, even to yourself, that hurt me. Strength is not always moving on quickly. Sometimes strength is taking the time to heal with honesty instead of pretending you are untouched. You have shown that kind of strength more often than you know. Every time you kept heart from turning bitter, strength was there. Every time you chose kindness without abandoning yourself, strength was there. Every time you allowed yourself to rest instead of pushing past your own limits, strength was there. Every time you whispered a quiet truth to yourself, even when no one else heard it, strength was there. I know it may not have felt like strength. It may have felt like simply surviving the day. But sometimes that is where sacred courage hides. In the ordinary day, in the next breath, in the decision not to give up on peace. And you have done that again and again. You have continued to seek peace, even if you did not always know what to call it. You sought it in quiet rooms, in small routines, in the comfort of familiar things, in the hope that maybe the next day would feel a little softer. You sought it by letting go of arguments that could not be won, by accepting that some hearts could not meet you where you stood, by learning slowly and painfully at times that your own soul needed your protection too. That is not failure. That is growth. And growth at this stage of life is not about becoming impressive. It is not about proving anything to the world. It is not about chasing a version of yourself that was never real. Growth now can be quieter, deeper, kinder. It can look like finally speaking to yourself with mercy. It can look like resting without guilt. It can look like believing that your heart is still allowed to want beauty and tenderness and companionship in whatever form peace brings them. You are allowed to want a gentle life. You are allowed to want calm. You are allowed to want words that do not wound you, rooms that do not drain you, connections that do not make you feel invisible. You are allowed to want to feel safe in your own heart, and perhaps that is where hope begins. Not in some grand promise about everything changing overnight, but in the quiet decision to stop treating your own tenderness like a burden, to stop apologizing for needing care, to stop shrinking your heart just because someone else did not know how to hold it. Your heart is not too much. Your heart is not too much. It never was. It may be deep. It may be sensitive. It may remember what others forget. It may need honesty more than flattery, steadiness more than excitement, tenderness more than noise. But that does not make it too much. It makes it yours. And your heart, with all its history and feeling, deserves reverence. Can you feel that even for a little? Can you let the truth come close without pushing it away? You do not have to believe it all at once. Sometimes the heart receives comfort the way dry ground receives rain, slowly at first, almost uncertainly. It has been dry for so long that even goodness can feel unfamiliar. But the rain does not scold the ground for being dry. It simply arrives softly, patiently, and begins again. Let kindness arrive like that. Let hope arrive like that. Let these words find the places in you that have been waiting without making you feel rushed. There is still a sacred rest available to you. Not because every question answered, not because every wound has disappeared, not because every person finally understood, but because peace does not require the whole world to change before it can sit beside you. Sometimes peace begins when you stop giving old pain the authority to name your future. You can say, "This happened, but it is not all I am." You can say, "I was hurt, but I am still worthy of tenderness." You can say, "I have been unseen before, but I am learning to see myself with love." There is power in that, but it is a quiet power. It does not need applause. It does not need to prove itself. It simply begins to make a home inside you, a home where your heart is welcome, a home where your feelings are not treated like intruders, a home where the woman you are now can sit with the woman you used to be, not in judgment, but in mercy. I imagine that meeting with such tenderness. You're looking back at yourself through all the seasons you have crossed. The younger woman who hoped so openly, the tired woman who carried more than she said, the brave woman who kept going, the quiet woman who waited for words that did not come, the wise woman who is here now, still breathing, still feeling, still worthy of gentleness. All of them belong. None of them need to be rejected. Every version of you was trying to make it through with the light she had, and now perhaps you can gather those parts of yourself into compassion. You can stop asking why you did not know then what you know now. You can stop scolding yourself for the love you gave, the patience you offered, the hopes you held. You can look at your own history with softer eyes and say, I was learning, I was loving, I was doing my best. That is not an excuse, it is mercy. And mercy can open a door that judgment kept closed. I want that door to open for you gently. I want you to feel that there is no need to keep punishing yourself for being human. No need to keep replaying every choice as if your heart should have known every out before it's arrived. No need to measure your worth by what someone else failed to understand. You are not a mistake. Your tenderness is not a mistake. Your longing for real connection is not a mistake. You are a woman with a heart that has been alive through many seasons, and that heart still has a place in this world. There is room for you here, room for your quiet, room for your wisdom, room for your softness, room for the hope that comes slowly. And if all you can do today is believe one small part of this, let it be this: your life is still worthy of gentle beauty. Not someday when you have everything figured out, not only when you feel strong, not only when no memories ache, now, in this very season, with the heart you have today. You are worthy of gentle beauty now. That beauty may be simple, a peaceful breath, a kind thought toward yourself, a moment when you stop rushing. It has been with you when you felt cherished and when you felt alone. It has been with you when life felt full and when the silence felt too large. It did not abandon you. It did not accuse you. It simply continued. There is tenderness. There is a blessing in that. There is a quiet promise in that. You are still here. And being here is not a small thing. Maybe your life does not look exactly the way you once imagined it would. Maybe certain dreams took different roads. Maybe some people did not stay in the way you hoped. Maybe some doors closed without the words you needed. Maybe there are questions you have learned to live beside, not because they stopped mattering, but because peace became more precious than answers that never came. I honor that in you. I honor the maturity it takes to stop chasing closure from places that cannot give it. I honor the tenderness it takes to release what your heart once held tightly. I honor the quiet courage it takes to keep blessing life in small ways, even after life has asked much of you. You have not failed because you still feel. You have not failed because you still remember. You have not failed because your heart sometimes reaches toward what was never fully given. Those places do not make you broken. They make you real. And being real is not something to be ashamed of. It is something to hold gently, like a fragile cup that has carried both sorrow and sweetness. I want you to stop seeing your tenderness as a problem. It is not a problem. It is part of your beauty. It is part of the reason you notice what others miss. It is part of the reason kindness matters so deeply to you. It is part of the reason words can touch you, music can move you, memories can soften you, and peace can feel like something holy. Your tenderness has been a faithful companion, even when it made life ache mortally. It helped you love. It helped you understand. It helped you remain close to the human heart. And now that tenderness deserves to be protected by wisdom, not buried beneath shame. You can be tender and wise. You can be soft and discerning. You can be open to love and still careful. With your peace, you can forgive without returning to what wounded you. You can remember without living inside the ache. You can hope without handing your heart to places that have not earned it. This is not hardness. This is sacred maturity. This is the peace of a woman who has learned that her heart is precious, and precious things should be treated with care. I know you may have spent years pouring yourself outward into family, into friendships, into responsibilities, into keeping things steady into loving people through seasons when you were not always loved with the same attention. That kind of giving leaves a mark. Sometimes it leaves gratitude. Sometimes it leaves exhaustion. Often it leaves both. So now, let something return to you. Let kindness return. Let gentleness return. Let the dignity of your own worth return. You do not have to earn this moment. You do not have to deserve it by being useful. You do not have to prove that you have suffered enough, given enough, forgiven enough, understood enough. You can receive comfort simply because you are a living soul. And living souls need tenderness. That is all. That is enough. You are enough. I want those words to feel less like a phrase and more like a place where you can rest. You are enough when you are cheerful, and you are enough when you are quiet. You are enough when you are certain, and you are enough when your heart trembles. You are enough when others notice you, and you are enough when the room does not understand the depth you carry. Your worth has never depended on being properly recognized by everyone. It has always been deeper than that. It has always lived beneath the surface, steadies, sacred even when life you question it. And perhaps peace begins when you stop asking the wrong mirrors to tell you who you are. Some people could only reflect a small part of you. Some could only see what they needed. Some saw your strength, but not your fatigue. Some saw your kindness, but not your longing. Some saw your patience, but not the cost of it. But their reflection was never the whole truth. The whole truth is larger. The whole truth is kinder. The whole truth says that you are a woman of depth, feeling, memory, wisdom, and quiet grace. The whole truth says your life has meaning beyond what anyone from now acknowledged knowledge. The whole truth says your heart has been worthy of tenderness in every season, even the seasons when tenderness did not come. Let that truth become a home inside, not a home made of perfect circumstances, a home made of peace, a home made of self-mercy, a home made of knowing you no longer have to abandon yourself to be loved. You can stay with yourself now. You can speak gently to yourself now. You can place your own hand over your own heart. And instead of asking why it feels so much, you can thank it for staying soft enough to recognize love. Your heartbeat has been a quiet witness, but it can also become a quiet blessing. Let it remind you that every breath still has room for grace. Let it remind you that the story of you is not only what hurt, not only what was lost, not only what remained unsaid. Your story is also every time you rose, every time you cared, every time you chose peace over bitterness, every time you allowed light to reach you again. There is so much more to you than sorrow. There is wisdom in you. There is warmth in you. There is humor that has survived. There is tenderness that still knows how to bless. There is a quiet dignity that no disappointment could take. And there is belonging. Maybe not always in the places you searched for it. Maybe not always from the people you hoped would offer it. But belonging is still here, waiting to be received in a deeper way. You belong to the truth. You belong to light that has guided you through dark rooms. You belong to the peace that keeps calling you home. You belong to the love that is not dependent on anyone's perfect understanding. You belong inside your own life, fully, gently, without apology. I want that to settle over you like a blessing. You belong here, not only when you are giving, not only when you are needed, not only when you are strong, not only when you are easy to understand. You belong when you are quiet. You belong when you are tender. You belong when you are still healing from things you rarely name. You belong when your heart needs more time. You belong when you are learning to receive the very comfort you have offered so freely to others. There is nothing wrong with receiving. There is nothing weak about needing gentleness. There is nothing foolish about wanting a love that feels safe, clear, and kind. Your heart was made for tenderness, not confusion, not neglect, not emotional hunger, dressed up as patience, tenderness, honesty, steadiness, peace. Peace. And when you recognize that, you are not asking for too much. You are finally telling the truth about what your soul has always known. Your soul knows the difference between being tolerated and being cherished. It knows the difference between being used and being valued. It knows the difference between noise and presence. It knows the difference between tension and peace. Trust that knowing. It has brought you this far. It has helped you survive what you did not think you could survive. It has helped you release what your hands were too tired to carry. It has helped you notice the small lights along the path. It has helped you keep a sacred part of yourself alive. Now let that sacred part rest. Let it rest in the truth that you do not have to chase what is meant to be gentle. Let it rest in the truth that your life is still meaningful, even in quiet seasons. Let it rest in the truth that being deeply understood begins sometimes with allowing yourself to stop arguing against your own heart. You are not too late for peace. You are not too old for tenderness, for your blessing. You are not too quiet to be seen, So, quiet to see. I see you here. I see the woman who has carried love with dignity. I see the woman who has kept private sorrows with grace. I see the woman who has learned to smile without denying the truth inside herself. I see the woman who still wants her heart to be met gently, and I want her to know that her wanting is not shameful. It is beautiful. It is human. It is holy. May this moment become a soft ending to the old belief that you must always be the one who understands and never the one who is understood. May it close the door gently on the thought that your needs are too much. May it release you from the weight of wondering whether your quiet love counted. It counted. It always counted. Every kindness counted. Every prayer counted. Every sacrifice, seen or unseen, counted. Every gentle word counted. Every time you chose not to let the world make you cruel, it counted. And even when no one thanked you properly, heaven and the deep truth of life did not misplace your love. Nothing loving is truly wasted. It may not always return from the same direction. It may not always arrive in the form you expected, but love has the way of becoming part of the light around a life. It shapes the air, it softens memory, it blesses what it touches, and the love you have given has not made you empty. It has revealed the depth of you. Now may some of that love turn toward you. May it come as rest. May it come as clarity. May it come as a gentle acceptance of your own heart. May it come as the quiet certainty that you were always worth seeing. I want you to leave this moment not with a question, but with peace. Not wondering whether you are enough, but resting in the truth that you are. Not reaching anxiously for recognition, but feeling a little at home inside yourself. Not carrying the old ache in the same lonely way, but letting it be held by something kinder, because you are held. Not trapped, not pressured, held. Held by truth, held by grace, held by the quiet strength that has lived in you all along. Held by the tenderness you thought might have disappeared, but did not. Held by the soft certainty that your life has mattered more than you know. May your heart continue beating with this certainty. You are seen, you are loved, and you have always been worthy of gentle care. Let that be the final word over the places that felt forgotten. Let that be the blessing over the years that asked too much. Let that be the warmth around every memory that still needs mercy. You are seen, you are loved, you are whole. And now, dear heart, you may rest.